Okay, so hey, as she said, my name is Finney, and I am a survivor of sexual abuse. I was 14 when it started happening to me. He was the youth minister of a church I was attending, and he took my virginity from me. I always say I never got, the cookie cutter giving my virginity away story. It was taken from me, like wrongfully so, like it is for a lot of other young girls. So I was very young. It was very hard for me to deal with. The entire congregation, including the head pastor, they actually all turned on me when I was 14. Once this story came out, it only ever really came out because I got really depressed. I got really suicidal, and I actually tried to take my life. My mom had to take me to the hospital, and she ended up finding out at the hospital. And then it went on from there.
Wow. I mean, I don't even know the words to like exactly say to you because you're a strong individual, especially being 14 and something like that happened to you. I mean, you just hit puberty. And so I'm really, really, for one, sorry that that happened to you. And two, I want to know, you mentioned that the, entire congregation, turned on you. So how did that make you feel during that time?
It honestly just contributed to the depression. I was already depressed based upon the situation. It was like these people that I was supposed to trust, even the man himself, him and his wife were supposed to mentor me. I was supposed to be able to look up to them. His wife actually turned on me first. She hated me. I came to her and actually told her. She went to the head pastor, and it became, well, let's sweep it under the rug. The head pastor told me not to tell anybody and just to not talk to them anymore. And it was really just kind of hurtful because it's like I'm reaching out to these people to help me because I'm in a situation I didn't know what to do. He was telling me at 14, if I told my mom, she would be mad at me and I would get in trouble. And like looking back on it, I always feel dumb, like I should have knew better. But at the same time, I'm young, I'm impressionable. This man, so if he's telling me that, I'm believing him. So it was like for all of these people to be like turning on me and leading me in the wrong direction, it really hurt. And I think it's affected me long term. To this day, I have problems with trust. Situations like this really affect young women for the rest of their lives.
Wow. So were you able to, get therapy, and did that help you?
Yes, I was actually in counseling for 4 years. I was in counseling from the time I was 14 until I was 18. The only reason I stopped was because I went to college out of my city, so I could no longer continue with my counselor. I honestly, it actually saved my life. I always say that counseling and God is literally saved my life. I literally hated myself. I wanted to die on a daily basis. I actually feel like I should get back into counseling because when you go through a trauma like that, like I said, it affects you for the rest of your life. So I don't know how to react to situations in a rational way sometimes. I forget my coping skills. I still get triggered. I need to get back into counseling. I actually plan to do so pretty soon.
Okay. Yes, because I reached out to you because I seen your post on social media. And so what I also want to know is what made you become so vocal about what happened to you?
I feel like I had to. I honestly had to start speaking out because I realized how it affected me. And just knowing that if there was a woman out there somewhere posting the things that I post, it would have been a lot more comforting to me. Like, you really feel alone in these kind of situations. And I just want other women to understand that they're not alone. While I do wish that this didn't happen to me, I feel like it honestly had to happen to me because I need to use my story to help empower other women, and so that they can know that like they're going to be okay, because I'm perfectly fine. If I never shared my story with people, people would never know anything ever happened to me, wouldn't know I was ever suicidal, wouldn't know I used to self-harm, would just think I lived a perfect life, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that you brought awareness to it just because, there's females that they feel maybe so ashamed or they're scared to even, go out and tell the next individual. So you telling your story, definitely, I know it definitely helps some girls. Did any girls, reach out to you? You ain't got to tell me the names, but did anybody reach out
Yeah,
to
I got their names.
you?
Yes, actually, there were, so initially I posted a video in April. April was Sexual Assault Awareness Month,
Mm-hmm.
and my blew up, like, because in the video I said, like, you know, feel free to reach out to me to be completely confidential, and a lot of women did. And even just locally, my junior year of high school, I entered a speech competition and I spoke on sexual abuse within the church. And even when I did that, that speech also went, you know, it got a lot of views and attention and stuff like that because it was pretty powerful. So people from my city started reaching out and everything. And that's really what I want to do. Like, I just want women to feel safe and comfortable coming to me and other women, and just to know that they're not alone.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Girl, you need to start an organization, especially with
coming soon. Yep. That's the goal long term.
Awesome. Glad. And then also, I want to know, what do you think people can do as a whole to bring awareness to sexual assault, so that it can be more light shed on it? Because I don't feel like people want to talk about it.
I feel like, first of all, start the conversation. Like, stop making it such a, oh my goodness, like, we can't talk about it, like, we have to stay hush about it. Make it to where it's a conversation that can be comfortably had. Yes, it's a touchy subject, but it's also something that needs to be talked about. I'm sure if when it first happened to me, I was more comfortable talking about it, then I wouldn't have been as suicidal, and it wouldn't have got to the point that it did. But because we're such a, oh my goodness, don't talk about it, don't ask, don't tell about the, you know, about the whole situation and stuff like that, then that's why girls feel like they can't be comfortable talking about it, because they feel like they may be judged. Also, stop being so judgmental. Stop pointing the finger. Stop victim shaming, victim blaming. All of those need to stop. And there's just such a stigma around sexual assault and sexual abuse that we need to really break first before girls can feel comfortable having the conversation in the first place.
Okay. I completely agree with you. Another thing that I want to know is, you talked a little bit about, you know, your depression, especially being such a young age. It really doesn't matter what age it happened to you. I think that any individual, you know, would be depressed after something like that happened to them. I want to know, how did your family and your friends react? Since you mentioned just briefly how the congregation of the church reacted.
So my friends didn't know how to react. You know, we were all young. We were all, like, I was a freshman in high school. We were all very fresh into high school. They tried to comfort me and be there for me, but nobody really kind of knew how to react. I mean, how could they? I didn't even know how to react. My family, on the other hand, were very supportive. I feel like it helped the situation. Like, me and my mom's relationship became much stronger because she wanted me to understand that she was here for me, and she wanted us to have a more open line of communication, so that if there was anything else to ever happen, I would feel more comfortable talking to her. I have 3 sisters, so my sisters were very helpful. They were comforting. My family just really tried to help me get through the situation as best as they could, you know.
That's awesome that, you know, that they were there for you, just because I know that I've spoken to, you know, African American girls that have been raped, and their family wasn't there. They weren't supportive. And so what I want to know is, why do you think that, you know, families aren't, you know, supportive within the African American household, especially when it's someone that maybe it was a family member that did it to another family member? Why do you think that?
I feel like that happens so prevalent, and it's because it's accepted. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it's widely just accepted. There are known rapists in my family. In a lot of Black families, there's always that uncle that, you know, you don't leave the little girls around because, you know, he can't control himself. But instead of letting that be okay, why not start holding the uncle or the cousin or whoever it is accountable? So, like, I just feel like in the Black community, it's called, they call him, like, Chester the molester. I've heard that term before. But the fact that we have a term for a man in the family who just touches all the little girls of the family, like, why is that okay? We should stop making that okay. The problem is that we've made it okay.
Yes, I think they have made it okay. They say it as though, like, you know, it's their fault, or, oh, she was being fast, or look at where she was going. Like, what does that have to do with anything? And I don't think, you know, a grown man should be looking at, you know, a young girl or anybody, any especially if it's your family member in any type of way. I feel like it's very inappropriate. And so I don't know. I've always been, uncomfortable with the fact that I see it so frequently happening within the Black community, and that they make it so normal, and it breaks up, the family household. Like I've seen it happen numerous of times. And one family feels one way and then the other family member feels another way, and that person, is physically dealing with it, and then they're going through, the depression and the anxiety of it. And so I really wanted to talk about that just because I see it happen so frequently. I remember during the summertime, I'm not sure if you saw it, but on Twitter, people were talking about their age when they were raped. And so I was just like reading, I'm like, wow, like the writings of the African American women that are, quoting this tweet is very absurd. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy, girl. It is so crazy. But I do want to know is, do you have any advice that you want to give to individuals who have been sexually assaulted, and they just don't know what to do at this moment?
Yes, my advice would be, one, reach out. Like, I don't care if you contact me. Like, find me on Twitter. Like, like Glossy Finney on everything. Like, even if you just reach out to me, I can't do much, but I will be like an open line of communication. I'll try to connect you to whatever resources, or if you just want to be able to talk about it, just find somebody, please, to talk about it. Because holding it in is the longer you hold it in, the longer the damage is being done. And then it's just long term, it's hurting you more than it's helping you. So first, reach out. Understand that it is not your fault. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care if you walked to the man's house, got into his bed, got butt naked, decided you didn't want to do it anymore, and then he still did it. It still wasn't your fault. I don't care what the circumstance was. It just wasn't on you. You couldn't have done anything different for the outcome to come out different. He is sick, and he was going to do what he wanted to do regardless. So it is not on you. And just have faith that it's going to get better. Like, I am living my best life. I still struggle, but at the end of the day, I am living a perfectly fine, great life. Like, it will get better and it will get easier, but only if you listen to me and you take my advice and you reach out and you talk about it and you seek the help that you need.
Okay, that was really good advice. I do want to know, do you know any resources that would be helpful for young girls?
Yes, I don't.
Community or anything, just like anything you can think of.
Yes, so I don't know the phone numbers like off the top of my head, but these are always the ones I suggest. There's a sexual abuse hotline number that you can Google. There are usually like locally any battered woman shelter, any of the like women's centers, Planned Parenthood. If you're looking for those kind of resources, if you're just looking for like emotional support too, you can reach out to your local counseling services. There are some, like, depending on where it happened at, like on college campuses, there are usually support groups. Try to find out your support group or your Title IX coordinator. Yeah, I think those are the safest places to reach out to. You also have to be careful because you never know how people are going to react to. So. Mm-hmm.
And then another thing I really want to know is, what have you done to cope with your mental state?
Okay, so I don't always practice healthy coping skills like I should. Like, we all slip off sometimes, but some of the healthy ones that I try to keep up with, journaling, it helps so much. Like, you just journal. Oh, crying. Crying is number one. Crying is the healthiest coping skill I've ever been introduced to, like letting it out, because that's a coping skill in itself, because holding it in is hurting you. So when you let it all out, you're going to feel so much better. So crying and journaling, preferably do them together. Like, just cry and write as you're crying. Looking in the mirror after these kind of situations, I feel like all of our self-esteem takes a very heavy hit. You look at yourself differently. You feel bad about yourself. Looking in your mirror and complimenting yourself. I would compliment myself naked to make myself, feel better about my body. I hated my body. Like, mentally, like, take days to yourself, take hours to yourself, schedule days and hours to where, like, this is for me. Like, I'm gonna go get my nails done, I'm gonna go get my hair done, I'm gonna watch TV all day, I'm gonna sleep in, like, just little things like that. Don't isolate yourself, because you're gonna want to isolate yourself, but don't. Still, try to get out the house, hang out with your friends, little things like that.
Okay, those are really good coping skills. And then I also just want to know, is there anything that you feel like, for instance, do you feel that you are where you wanted to be today, considering the circumstances that occurred to you? Um, like, do you feel that you have progressed since then?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like I said, I feel like it had to happen to me. I wouldn't be the woman that I am if it didn't happen to me. When I was 14, initially, I wanted to be a lawyer. I thought I was going to be a lawyer, but now it's like my whole career choices change. I do want to start a nonprofit organization to help other women and stuff like that. That's one of the many things that I want to do. And a lot of these ideas sparked from, the situation. It was hard to do it at first, but I chose to utilize it and turn my pain into passion and use it, to help other women and just for the better. So yeah, I definitely think it just had to happen to me so that I can be where I am. And if you look at it that way, I know it's hard to look at it that way at first, but as you heal, you will some.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, do you have any additional comments that you want to say on what we're bringing awareness to sexual assault?
Last thing I just want to say is, don't be so quick to judge. Please, just if somebody, reaches out to you, just don't be so quick to judge. And let's not forget, it happens to men too. And
Mm-hmm.
they've reached out to me and they felt comfortable reaching out to me because I share my story, but they're not comfortable telling anybody else because they're a man at the end of the day. They feel like it's, taking a hit to their manlyhood and stuff like that. And I can understand that. And since society is so closed-minded about it happening to men, it makes it hard for them to get the help that they need because they don't want to ever reach out.
I love that you brought that up because people don't believe that men can get raped, and it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it happens like at such a high rate, and even to our Black men especially.
Yes. While they're young. I believe I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now, which is terrible. But I believe there was a basketball player that was raped.
Oh, really?
And he ended up getting married and everything. So he's living his best life now, but he definitely, dealt with, some issues and talked about him, getting therapy because it was just definitely something, that carried on into his adulthood because he never dealt with it. And so I'm glad that you brought that up. That's definitely something that people don't believe that. And I'm like baffled. I'm like, dang, it's 2020 and y'all they don't think a lot of things. So they ignore a lot of things.
They don't think.
It's our generation. That's all it is. But I do want to tell you, thank you for coming on here and talking about this and bringing awareness to sexual assault. This was so important. I was really happy when I reached out to you and that you said that you would do this because I know it can be such a difficult topic to talk about. And so thank you again for sharing your story. And also, tell them about your business real quick.
Oh, shameless plug. First, I want to say thank you for having me. Like, I love that you do this and you bring awareness to these kind of topics because if you so I love that. Okay, so I'm the proud owner of Divine Beauty LLC. It is a beauty-based brand. My mission is for women to understand they're naturally beautiful. So I sell things like lip glosses, body butters, just organic skincare and cosmetic products. My website is Divine, Dibine, Beauty by Finney, Finney dot. By Finney. It's at Divine Beauty by Finney on everything. So yeah.
Thank you for coming on here, Finney. And I can't wait to see the things you do in the future, especially with your nonprofit organization. So I can't wait to see.
Yep, coming soon.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you.